Welcome back to the broadcast. Well, a recent study showed that when parents fat shame their kids, the kids are more likely to have unhealthy habits and develop eating disorders. So we're going to talk to a doctor here in a moment. But first, we're joined by Brian Cuban, who can personally speak to this issue. And of course, Brian, you've been on the show before. You've written a book.
Correct.
And the one thing you said during the break that we want to sort of make the point, because I said it in the intro, that it's not the parent's fault if your child has an eating disorder, but you can minimize the risk.
That's correct. We don't know. We know eating disorders are biologically based, but we don't know we can't quantify how much is environment and how much is in genetics.
Right.
You can do all the right things, never say anything, eat healthy, and your child still, have a weight issue and still develop an eating disorder or whatever can come from that. So we need to make it clear, it is not about fault. It is not a parent's fault. It's about understanding the risk and minimizing the risk.
There definitely seems to be a bit of an epidemic we're hearing about with childhood obesity. Is that overplayed, or is there a real problem here that we're dealing with?
I think there's a problem. I think there's a problem. I think the stats speak for themselves. And again, it's more, you just need to, when you're a parent, you just need to minimize risk by watching what you say. I was fat shamed terribly. I ended up being an obese child, going about 270 pounds by the time I was in junior high school. Now, did the fat shaming is the fat shaming directly responsible? I don't know. Did it play an environmental role? I think so.
Sure.
So when you're at home, you just need to watch the talk. And it's easy to say, well, don't talk to your child. Don't say these things to your child, but you also have to watch what you say to yourself and to your spouse or to your significant other. People make fat jokes about themselves.
Right.
And your children hear those. Oh, I'm having a fat day.
Right.
You're having a fat day. And the child hears those things and takes cues from that.
Do you think that some of those comments at home played in your role in gaining weight as a child?
Absolutely, there was a role.
Okay.
Now, how much of a role, we don't know. But I was very brutally fat shamed. My mom used to call me a fat pig. But those were the things she had said to her by her mom. And those were the things her mom had said to her by her mom. A lot of times, fat shaming is generational.
Yeah, and you made a really good point about even when we think we're making a statement that is not harmful at all, it depends on how your child's receiving it. And I think the last time you were here when we were talking about your book and body dysmorphic disorder, and I shared with you that my son Spencer, my oldest son, who's the one who plays football for SMU now, was overweight in junior high, and I made a comment to him when we were clothes shopping that, wow, your pants, this is the size Dad wears, honey. and I didn't realize at the time what an effect that had on him. And to this day, he'll like tease me about it, like, oh yeah,
absolutely, it's ingrained in their memory.
Yes, and talk about feeling like the worst mother on the planet.
And what we forget is we think our kids are like us. Our kids bring in their own genetic predispositions, their own psychological predispositions, and their own way of viewing the world. So you say something that no big deal to you, but they take it and frame it based on how they see the world. It could be a negative way. It could have no effect at all.
Right.
But we just don't know, and you have to talk to your kids based on how they see the world.
And I was going to ask, so what do? I've got a 6-year-old daughter at home. I'll be getting dressed and say, oh, I look too fat in this. What are some parameters for parents? What do we have to consider when we're trying to raise these kids? We're seeing images of Kim Kardashian in the aisles of Kroger. What do?
You think in terms of health, not in terms of fat. And remember, kids are going to gain weight. Okay, because a child gains weight, it doesn't mean there's a disaster coming. That's, and Dr. Pinckney can talk about that. That could be a natural cycle. But think in terms of healthy lifestyle and not words.
That's good.
Right.
Yeah, I like that. That's a very, very good difference to put on it. Okay, we're going to continue this discussion after the break. Coming up next, we're going to have an expert on with tips on how to get your kids healthy without making them feel insecure like we were just talking about. So we're going to do that after the break.